My wife demanded, "It's me or your paralyzed mother. You have 24 hours. I replied, "Won't need that long." Then I booked a one-way ticket to my mother. 3 hours later, her sister was calling me screaming that my wife was threatening legal action for abandonment. I, 34 male Ethan, am sitting in an airport terminal typing this on my phone with shaking hands. The Wi-Fi is terrible. My carry-on has my laptop, a few random clothes I grabbed, and a thick folder with my mom's medical documents. My life as I knew it imploded about 4 hours ago, and I'm still trying to catch my breath. My wife Alice, 32, and I have been married for 6 years. It's been a life. We have a house. Well, the bank has a house and lets us live in it. The mortgage is in my name, a detail from before we were married that just never got changed. We both work. We had a routine. It was fine. Then 6 months ago, my mom, Doris, 65, had a massive stroke. It left her paralyzed from the waist down and with aphasia, making it incredibly hard for her to speak. I'm her only kid. My dad's been gone for years. The weight of it all fell on me. I arranged for in-home care, which is draining her life savings at an alarming rate. I spent 3 evenings a week in my entire weekend at her place, an hour away, making sure she was okay, talking to nurses, just being there. It's been the most exhausting half year of my life. Alice's initial sympathy felt like a rehearsed script. "That's so awful," she'd say while scrolling through her phone. Soon the sighs started every time I picked up my car keys. Then the complaints. "We never do anything. You're always exhausted. I feel like I'm not even married." I tried to explain. I begged her to come with me just once. "I can't handle hospitals," she'd say, "and that smell, the sick person smell." This morning the crisis hit. The home care agency called. Doris' main caregiver had a family emergency and is out for at least a month. The replacement coverage they could offer was patchy, leaving dangerous gaps in the day where she'd be alone. I sat Alice down, my heart pounding. I told her I needed to take FMLA leave from my job, that we as a family needed a temporary plan. I even suggested hesitantly that maybe Mom could stay with us for just a few weeks. The look on her face wasn't angry. It was cold. Empty. "No," she said, "I will not have her here. This is my home too. Alice, please. She can't be left alone." What are we supposed to do? Her savings are almost gone. "That sounds like a you problem, not a we problem," she said. She stood up, crossing her arms, and delivered the line that I think will haunt me forever. I am done coming second to her. I am done with my life being on hold, so you have a choice to make. It's me or your paralyzed mother. You have 24 hours. I wish I could say I was strong. I wasn't. I just felt a wave of adrenaline and nausea. There was no grand moment of clarity. There was only the image of my mom alone in her house, unable to call for help. The choice wasn't a choice. It was an instinct. "I won't need that long," I mumbled, my voice barely working. I went into our office, my hands fumbling on the keyboard as I booked the next one-way flight to my mom's city. I threw random things in a bag. I didn't even pack a toothbrush. I just walked out the door while she stared at me, her expression turning from triumphant to shocked. I landed an hour ago. The flight wasn't peaceful. I just stared out the window, my mind racing, wondering if I just made the biggest mistake of my life. I turned my phone on and it immediately went crazy. A dozen missed calls from Alice, then a wall of text from her sister Jean, 35. It was a novel of accusations that I was selfish, cruel, and that Alice was already on the phone with a lawyer to sue me for spousal abandonment. Jean's final text read, "You can't just do this. There are consequences for walking out on your wife. She is entitled to her life and you're going to pay for this. I'm waiting for a cab to my mom's. I feel like I'm going to be sick. I'm walking into one fire and there's another one blazing at my back. I have no idea what I'm doing." Update 1. Thank you to everyone who commented. Reading your messages and knowing I'm not crazy has been a lifeline. The last 3 weeks have been a masterclass in exhaustion and stress. I got to Mom's and found the situation was worse than I thought. She was scared, the filling aide was overwhelmed, and she cried with relief when she saw me. That image is burned into my brain. It erased any doubt that I had to be here. I'm now her full-time caregiver. I took FMLA leave, which is unpaid. A fact that is becoming terrifyingly relevant. We've established a routine of meds, physical therapy, exercises, and meals. It's relentless. I'm averaging 5 hours of sleep. Some nights I just sit by her bed listening to her breathe, my mind racing with financial calculations. The Alice and Jean offensive began immediately. Alice won't speak to me directly. She's using Jean as her attack dog. The calls and texts are constant. It's not a calm list of demands. It's a storm of verbal abuse. Ethan, Alice is a mess. She had to pay her car insurance bill all by herself. Do you have any idea how stressful that is? You're still her husband. You have a responsibility. The power bill is due. Are you going to pay it, or are you gonna let your wife sit in the dark because you decided to run away from your problems? The mortgage on our house is in my name only. The payment comes directly from my primary checking account and it's due next week. My paycheck, which usually covers it, isn't coming because I'm on unpaid leave. I'm now faced with draining my personal savings to pay the mortgage on a house I'm not allowed to live in or risk defaulting, which would obliterate my credit. I knew I was in over my head. Following advice from DMs, I spent 2 agonizing days trying to find a lawyer. The first 2 I called wanted retainers I couldn't possibly afford. One lawyer I spoke to for a 15-minute paid consultation was dismissive and basically told me to go back to my wife. I was starting to despair. Finally, I found a lawyer, a Miss Albright, who was recommended by a local stroke support group. She's not a shark. She's a pragmatic, no-nonsense family law attorney who has seen it all. Our video call was a splash of cold water. She told me that spousal abandonment is largely a myth in our no-fault divorce state, but my situation is precarious. She gave me a grim to-do list. Document everything. Every call, every text from Jean. Don't respond. Just log it. Date, time, summary of the abuse, separate finances. I opened a new checking account at a different credit union and have started moving what little savings I have into it. This is my war chest and it's tiny. Communicate in writing. She told me to send one simple email to Alice and Jean stating that all future communication regarding finances or marital issues needs to be in writing via email. This creates a paper trail and stops the verbal assault. I sent the email. The response less than 10 minutes later was my phone ringing with Jean's name on the screen. I stared at it until it stopped. Then came the text. You think you can hide behind your lawyer? Coward. Alice has needs. You owe her. The pressure is immense. They are trying to break me financially and emotionally. Every buzz of my phone makes my stomach clench. I'm living off my savings, which are disappearing at a terrifying rate between mom's needs and the house back home. This isn't a game of chess. It's a war of attrition. Update 2. The silence didn't last. My refusal to engage in their screaming matches was seen as weakness. The last few months have been a slow grind designed to bleed me dry. Mom is doing better. We have a wonderful part-time aide now, a woman named and funded by a local grant I spent weeks applying for. It gives me a few hours a day to breathe. Her speech is slowly improving. Her smile is my only paycheck right now. Financially, I'm on the brink. I've continued paying the mortgage on the house because Miss Albright advised that letting it go into default would be catastrophic for me long term. Alice living there contributes nothing. The utility bills are astronomical. She's clearly not making any effort to conserve. I've had to pay them to avoid collections. My savings are gone. I've started putting groceries on a credit card. The smear campaign is in full swing. Alice's social media is a curated portrait of a brave victim. She posts about suddenly facing the world alone, how she's learning to be strong in the face of betrayal, and vague posts about mental health crises that can tear a family apart, implying I had a breakdown. Some of our mutual friends have iced me out. They hear her side that I just snapped and ran away, and they don't bother to ask for mine. It hurts more than I thought it would. The big escalation came last month. I received a formal letter from a lawyer Alice has hired. It was a demand letter. It stated that Alice wished to take out a home equity line of credit helic on the house for $50,000 for necessary maintenance repairs and to cover living expenses she has been unfairly burdened with. Since the house is marital property, she needs my signature. I called Miss Albright, my voice shaking with rage. She wants to pull $50,000 out of the house. I said there's nothing wrong with the house. Of course not. Miss Albright said calmly. Ethan, she's not trying to fix the house. She's trying to liquidate your primary asset. She wants cash. Do not sign anything. I refused. Her lawyer sent another letter. This one more threatening, talking about forcing the issue in court. It's a clear tactic. Bury me in legal fees and pressure me until I break and give her the money. Then came the move that crossed the final line. 2 weeks ago I was helping Mom with her dinner when I heard a key in the front door. I froze. Alice walked in. She had a key to my mom's house from before the stroke that I had completely forgotten about. She didn't look at me. She looked around the living room with a disgusted expression. "It smells in here," she said. My mom Doris, who was in her wheelchair, made a small distressed sound. "Get out, Alice," I said, my voice dangerously low. "This is your mother's house." "I know that," she said, finally looking at me, "but you are my husband. I have a right to know what's going on, to see if you're even capable of caring for her." She was laying the groundwork for her narrative that I was unstable and incompetent. The cold, calculated cruelty of it to come into this space to upset my disabled mother just to assert her dominance broke something in me. I didn't yell. I pulled out my phone, hit record on the video, and said, "You have 1 minute to leave this property before I call the police for trespassing." Her face changed. The mask of concern dropped, replaced by pure venom. She spat out something about me being pathetic, turned and left, slamming the door behind her. I immediately called a locksmith. Then I called the non-emergency police line and filed a report for trespassing, documenting her unauthorized entry. I now had a police report number. When I told Miss Albright, she said, "Good. That's the piece of evidence we needed. Her harassment is no longer just texts and phone calls. She has escalated. It's time to file. Tomorrow I am filing for divorce. It's not gonna be a quick process. It's going to be a war, but she just showed the court exactly who she is. Final update. It's over. 14 months. More than a year of legal battles, sleepless nights, and financial terror. Filing for divorce was like kicking a hornet's nest. Alice's legal response was that she was the aggrieved party. She claimed I had abandoned her, leaving her emotionally and financially destitute, and that my obsession with my mother's health was a symptom of my own instability. She requested permanent alimony, a majority of the assets, and for me to pay her substantial legal fees. This wasn't a clean, quick fight. It was a miserable slog. There were depositions, mediations that went nowhere, and endless expensive correspondence between our lawyers. My credit card debt grew. I felt like I was drowning. The turning point wasn't one gotcha moment, but a slow, methodical presentation of a pattern of behavior. Our case finally went before a judge, the ultimatum. Alice denied it, of course. She claimed she'd lovingly suggested I get more help for my mom, but Miss Albright built a timeline. She showed my immediate FMLA request, my one-way plane ticket, and the start of my full-time caregiving, all within hours of that conversation. My actions backed up my story. The harassment. We didn't have a neat email of demands. Instead, we had phone logs. Hundreds of calls from Jean at all hours. We had my single email asking for communication in writing and their subsequent refusal to do so, which the judge noted. The financial pressure. We showed the mortgage statements I paid while on unpaid leave. We showed the utility bills that tripled after I left. We presented the threatening letters from her lawyer about the HELOC, demonstrating her attempts to cash out our only major asset while I was at my most vulnerable. The trespassing. This was our strongest card. We had the police report. We had the locksmith bill. My testimony about her bargaining in and upsetting my disabled mother was damning. It demonstrated a pattern of intimidation and a profound lack of boundaries. This was instrumental in getting a temporary restraining order, which made her look terrible in the final hearing. The judge was a woman in her late 50s. She listened to everything, her face unreadable. In the end, her ruling was not the cinematic victory I dreamed of, but it was justice. The house. Court ordered to be sold. After the mortgage was paid, the remaining equity was split 50-50. This is standard, and it was a bitter pill, but it was fair under the law. Alimony. This was the big fight. Because of her documented harassment, her attempt to leverage the HELOC, and the trespassing incident, the judge was not sympathetic. She was awarded 1 year of rehabilitative alimony, a fraction of what she demanded. The judge stated it was to give her time to adjust her budget to her own income, not the one she was accustomed to when her husband was paying all the marital expenses. Debt. All the credit card debt I accrued after the date I officially filed for separation was deemed mine. It was a hit, but all the utility debt she racked up was assigned to her. The fallout for her has been quiet but significant. She had to move out of the house into a small apartment. With her share of the equity and the short-term alimony, she's not destitute, but she is living a life far removed from the one she felt entitled to. Her social media has gone quiet. I heard through the grapevine that when the true story came out, ultimatum trespassing hellic scheme, her reputation took a massive hit. Jean is no longer in her life, apparently blaming Alice for the legal mess. I'm exhausted. I have debts to pay off. I sold the house I thought I'd live in for 30 years. This wasn't a clean win. It was a brutal, ugly, and expensive escape, but I'm free. I have a new job here in the same city as my mom. The money from the house sale is a safety net for her future care. My life is smaller now. It's quieter. It's focused on PT appointments and making sure mom is comfortable. Some days I'm filled with anger and regret. But other days I watch my mom Doris smile as she works in her little garden box on the patio, and I know I didn't just make the right choice. I made the only choice and I survived the consequences. That's enough.